Screw it.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man. I'm a man.
All right, what's up? This is crazy stuff. I tried to put out a fucking video today, but apparently YouTube won't approve anything, man. 4 videos in queue waiting, different subjects, all just waiting. So screw it, let's do this thing live. Who cares, man? So what happened? I've not read this yet. I don't know what it says. But you know, Tim Pool had a writer embedded with Eliza Bleu, right? Looky. Look what dropped. Oh, yes, indeed. It is the article there. So either way, this goes nuclear today, because if Tim Pool didn't address the subject, it's going to explode. And if they do and they call her a fraud, it's going to explode. So either way, is this new? Oh, yeah. So good. Yeah, notice the date on it. February the 6th. See that? Right there. This is brand new, man. This is brand freaking new. I haven't read it. Don't know what's up. YouTube is glitchy. No, it's not glitchy, man. They're doing something. They're overhauling something in their system. You can tell. You can do it every time they do it. Truth. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. By the way, I'm gonna give it a couple minutes just so people will go in. So Eliza Bleu, anyway, all day has been in. She's spinning right now. She's actually spinning currently. There's gonna be a lot of spin. I get the feeling she'll either lock everything down or spin, but she's spinning right now, trying to spin that video clip where she advocates for 13, 14, 15-year-olds in her perfect utopia. Yeah, she's tried to tell you, well, you didn't understand that. That's okay, though. I guess you're you're not smart enough. Oh, it's so messed up, man. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of spin today. I have that feeling. But this one, I want to start reading it. And when I do, I haven't read it at all. I don't know. I have no idea what it says. Let's just give it, like I said, 2 minutes. I don't want to break it. Let me show you this thing real fast before we get on that. Anyway, let me let people build. I'll show you the spin that's coming up. And again, this one, I think it'll be pretty interesting to see how it pops off. But her spin right now, she's actually, oh, she's retweeted this. So we're going to see. Look, like I said, this will go nuclear no matter how, because she's retweeting this. So you and I, when we look at this, she must think it's friendly because she's retweeting it. You see that right there? She must think it's friendly. So we'll find out. But she's spinning currently the 13, 14, 15-year-old thing. Yeah, she was like, I went on a show to advocate for minors and survivors. I was speaking in the clips about a hypothetical anarchist society with no government and no laws, and stated that clearly. I believe in the current laws around these issues and abide by the current laws. Yeah, she actually called it her utopia. Utopia, which is not hypothetical. That's not what it means. It means a perfect state or place, So, yeah, it doesn't mean that. So she goes on to spin this, like up. And then she says, well, I forgive folks who don't understand the context of this clip, even those who call me horrible names. We have nothing else to discuss, so please don't message me privately. I agree with that, by the way. Don't message people. But I forgive you. We have nothing more to discuss. I've seen your hearts towards me. Yeah, you're wrong. But sharing it. Let's see how this goes, though. Like I said, no matter what, if this is a spin article, it's going to go nuclear. It's going to go fucking nuclear. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. No matter what, today is going to be very entertaining. Oh my God, today's going to be good. All right, Cashman. This is Shane Cashman, the writer, Temple embedded with Eliza Bleu. Eliza Bleu and the perpetual trauma machine. On what we talked about in the perpetual trauma machine. That doesn't sound positive, does it? Like when you read that, does it sound like a positive title? I guess we'll find out. On what we talked about when we talked about abuse, survival, big tech, condemnation, and human trafficking. This is part 1. On the 24th, members of Science and Security Board pulled a black hood off a doomsday clock to reveal that humanity, according to them, was 90 seconds closer to midnight, or in their words, closest to nuclear annihilation we've ever seen. The spectacle looked something like ISIS recording themselves about to hack off the head of a hostage. There's a God, this is one passes. There's been a lot of talk of doom and war and culture incinerating itself. I don't think that's unique to Monty, but the internet certainly exasperates it. We have always been wired to both fear and fetishize our own destruction. I was thinking about all of this doom when Eliza Bleu called me on the same day those scientists pushed the hands on the symbolic clock closer to midnight. She'd been trending on Twitter. Eliza and the doomsday clock don't really have anything to do with each other, but they were symbolically connected in my mind. The end of the world is always upon us. These days, it can feel like our own personal destruction is at the end of the world. And other days, the end of the world is some distant thought that has nothing to do with us. But at that moment, as she was trending on Twitter for accusations of lying about being trafficked and censoring critics with the help of Elon Musk, wow. So this is going there, by the way. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Twitter's going to be lit for 3 days. Oh, I love life some days. I love it. I'm sorry, but I love it. Hey, Richard, thanks for the 10. Hey, brother, long time no talk, but have been following Eliza's fraud. I gave up on Tim, tired of the fence sitting. Well, we're going to see where it goes. This might be fun. Hope all is well with you and the family. Oh, man. I can't believe that. So they went right for it to say, But at this moment, she was trending for the lies and accusations, censoring critics with the help of Elon Musk. It kind of felt like this was a personal doomsday scenario for Eliza. In the past few months, I had the strange opportunity to talk with people at the exact moment when they were trending on Twitter, and they were never trending for anything totally positive. Trends typically bring about waves of hate, posturing, and ruthless criticism. I don't know, man. I trended once and it was really, actually, I've trended a few things. It was about my tits. Tug's tits trended once. Tug's pickle, that's trended. Those were all positives. I trended during the trial. That was positive. I don't say that I haven't had that situation, but anyway, this can be positive or negative effect depending on the target. When I was talking to Kanye West or Carrie Lake or Eliza Bleu, it was surprising to me that despite the doom attached to their names, even in the digital space, Each of them remained oddly hopeful. I couldn't tell if that was part faith or part trying to convince themselves everything was okay, or a bit of both. Yeah, that's not going to be okay. Oh man, Blue gained notoriety over the last 3 years as a public advocate for survivors of human trafficking. I don't remember her gaining any notoriety beyond this year, by the way. I don't. Have any of you heard? Here's a legit question. I want to know this. Have you ever any of you heard of her before Elon Musk and Twitter? Did any of you hear about her before? By the way, if you like this and you want to support the channel, that'd be awesome too, because we're going to be demonetized for fucking weeks. I get the feeling. I won't stop talking about these fucking kind of cases. I don't care. I don't care. Twitter hates me for it. I don't care. I love it. See, Cybertast, thanks for two. Cassandra Fairbanks and Eliza may have some words. We'll see for sure. Richard, thanks for two. P.S. I miss sprinkler vids. Me too. I need to do an update one. So let me see. Did anybody say yes? I'm curious if any of you said you knew who she was. No, nobody. Okay. I was just curious there. M4A now. Thanks for the 5. Wouldn't want to watch the sheet show with any other band of pickles. Burn it all down. Indeed. Indeed. That's the thing. Like, apparently that's not advertiser friendly. I'm like, but fire, right? Fire is as old as fucking civilization, right? Just because we're using it inside of a flamethrower, what's wrong? Speaking of flamethrowers, let me fire this one up. Oh yeah, now I feel like J. Joe McJameson, baby. Now we can really talk. Hey, what's up, Jenna, by the way? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. She gained notoriety for the last 3 years. Never heard of that, but okay. She's also said that she's a survivor of trafficking herself. It has been the subject of many articles as well as a guest on a number of podcasts where she's discussed in part her survival story and what she believes needs to be done to those who might have also been trafficked. Her profile exploded when Eliza and Elon did a Twitter Spaces. That's true. Now, according to her, this was the first time Elon spoke to her directly. She'd also mailed him solutions for the platform that she told me she offered for no charge. You notice she always goes back to money, right? You notice that? Oh, well, I'm offering this for free. They ain't gonna fucking pay you for any solutions. I hate to tell you. She says that Elon also didn't ask for the solutions. She just sent them before they interacted over her tweet about Yul Roth. Elon had liked some of her tweets. So she tried to play down the Elon connection. Fascinating. Now, before her, even though you can tell, again, you can see the connection with Twitter. So before her story was put to question, Blue seemed like one of the rare people on Twitter around whom various political factions could rally. It was hard to argue against what she was most vocal about: saving people from the perils of human trafficking, removing child pornography from Twitter, and seeking to work with big tech to eliminate the ways in which traffickers exploit victims through the internet. It was an easy and righteous cause to support. One of her most popular tweets, which was pinned to her profile, showcased the maddening nightmare of a person who couldn't get Twitter to take down underage pornographic images that circulated on the platform. Yeah, I love how she took credit for getting something done there too, when fucking didn't at all. It's amazing. Like when you look back, it was actually you could look at that in different ways. You could look at it as her making items about herself. Hey, David Savage, what's up? Thanks for the 2. Please show my Tim Pool Jack Murphy beanie meme. I'll show it at the end for sure. I'll do that for sure. Remind me. All right, Dizzy, thanks for the 5 there. Tug, you're just so naughty. Nay, nay, nay. I know. I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. You want to hear what's funny? Is I noticed this live, and I was like, I'm gonna go home and eat lunch today. So when I got in, I noticed this came up, and I noticed it when I came in. I called. I was like, "Yo, I'm taking the rest of the day off. Sorry." So that's how we end up with the day live. And AJ Stone, thanks for the 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, by the way, AJ Stone. I do appreciate you. Thank you, bud. So this pinned tweet was reminder: 13-year-old minor survivor begged Twitter to remove a video sexually exploiting him. Twitter reviewed the content and said no. They had his government ID showing he was a minor at the time. It had over 160,000 views, over 1K tweets. That's actually true, by the way. There's a lawsuit about that. The Department of Homeland Security had to step in to get Twitter to remove it. Twitter refused, take responsibility. The lawsuit is heading to U.S. Circuit Court. That is actually very true, by the way. By the time she was trending, as the doomsday clock ticked forward, it was because people who initially championed her were now calling her out what they believed to be outright lies in her survival story. That's actually bullshit too. The people that championed her, that boosted her up, they had this weird thing. It's called a muzzle, because apparently, dog shoots and YouTube channels, apparently they both wear muzzles. I don't get it. They feared she not only lied, but she was also profiting off of other victims. If you Google her name as this story's publication, you'll see how many articles are putting her life story in question, from the post-millennial to Unheard to the Daily Beast. There had been a thread making the rounds on Twitter that broke down all the inconsistencies. Yeah, Defango. Yeah, what happened to Defango, by the way? You want to bring that up, Timmy? You want to bring that up, Shane? Why don't you bring up what happened to Defango? He told the truth. He got his ass blasted off Twitter. The thread was so damaging, it even called into question her own age. But users were enraged that they had helped give Eliza a platform, only to find out that she'd seemingly made up her whole story. These accusations reminded me of Don Draper Mad Men's story of stolen valor. A weak soldier steals the identity of another soldier who actually died in combat. It was as if she'd shed her skin, and now Twitter had finally exposed her. They pointed out her long list of aliases she used over the years: Eliza Cuts, Seep, Nose, her legal name, Morthland. At face value, her identity seemed a constant mutation. Internet sleuths. Wexan, thanks for the 10, by the way. And the I'm excited. I'm too excited. I'm excited here. Internet sleuths, thank you for that. Internet sleuths all the time. Found all the times, my bad, she had been seen on TV or in music videos or modeling campaigns, calling into question her timeline of having been a victim of trafficking. If she'd done all these shows, many Twitter users said, must only be in it for the fame. Everything seemed like a lie. The initial thread culminated in the internet scouring scouring the internet for as much as that would happen, for as much information as possible that she was in fact a fraud. Eventually, these threads attracted those who were once extreme supportive of Eliza and her cause. Larger accounts shared images from the videos, her bare ass, and some questions regarding the validity of her story. They tagged Eliza and waited for a response. It seemed like everyone was waiting. And you notice her damage control now. She decided to do some damage control, but it still hasn't commented on that. Instead, Shane Cashman is the first to it. And again, she thinks this is damage control. So we'll see. Man, this is a long article too. I'm just noticing I haven't gone anywhere with it yet. Eliza had said she would die on the hill of free speech, yet a move like this seemed wait, here it is. My bad. But the initial response was that these larger accounts were suspended. The narrative switch from "Has Eliza been lying this whole time?" to "Is she using her contacts within Twitter to censor critics?" Eliza had said she would die on the hill of free speech, yet a move like this seemed to many like it was not only clear censorship, but also a more sinister insight into how Twitter 2.0, with Elon at the helm, was operating in some bad faith with favors for friends. Was Elon dishing out personal help to keep certain names clean? If she was behind the suspensions, then she was an outright hypocrite. A lot of us were worried. Wow, that's interesting considering. A lot of you were very quiet in there, right? The same people, they were worried, but they just wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't buck up and say anything to stop the bans. I mean, okay, I'm glad the article came, but let's be real. How many people had to die on this hill before you wrote a fucking article on it, before you said anything? Like, hey, maybe if you were worried about it, why didn't you speak up and say, yo, Twitter, what's going on? You need to stop the bans. That would be nice, right? A lot of us were worried how sharing something in the digital public square, something that seemed publicly available, something that seemed publicly available, could result in a suspension and or a ban. An anti-establishment minded on Twitter, who had been reluctantly rejoicing as Elon acquired the platform, were now having flashbacks to what Jack Dorsey's Twitter felt like. Another digital landscape monopolized by tech elites who ruled subjectively. For the record, I always don't agree with Elon's bans of people like Ye or Alex Jones. I believe in true amnesty for all in the public square in terms of free speech. And despite Elon's personal feelings about these men, I believe they should be allowed back immediately. So they advocate, hey, Ye and everyone else should be there. Hey, Bad Cat, thanks for the 2 months. Her advocacy doesn't excuse trying to ruin a man's life for My Chemical Romance by falsely accusing him of SA. No one mentions it. Top of the list. Indeed. Woot, thanks for the 2. She was on Timcast and Adam Krigler last year. Yeah, she was on a lot of places last year for sure. She was on a bunch of them, I don't blame people for I don't blame them for that either. Like I said, it can happen to anyone. They were talking to somebody about, especially just the mask of advocacy is one. Everybody wants to support kids and freaking, that's universal. Well, I won't say universal, but it is something that most of us can universally share. The support of survivors, the support of child victims. So it's the easiest way for people to work in and take advantage of us, I think. So almost as soon as the bans happened, the rumors started to spread. She must be sleeping with Elon. She's a secret shadow agent inside Twitter, dictating terms of service at her own benefit. Now I was on the phone with her. That's some bullshit. I mean, come on, man. That wasn't the thing. People were like, yo, this person that seemed very chummy with them, very fucking chummy. They were writing to him. It's interesting. Hey, I was writing out these, you were writing to Elon himself. I don't remember Elon giving me his personal email. So I guess that's just something everyone does, though, right? I previously planned to write a profile on Eliza, and we happened to be discussing when to schedule a time for me to visit her place in Quad Cities, Illinois area. I heard the parts of her story that she'd shared on various podcasts and saw an opportunity to share an in-depth understanding of what happened to her. Now that entire story had been picked apart in the Twitter sphere, it was safe to say I had more questions than I bargained for. Eliza and I met in person once previously. We happened to be guests on Timcast IRL, January 7th, 2023. Eliza began the episode by reading statements from women who claimed to be victims of Andrew Tate. Tate had recently been arrested in Romania for accusations of human trafficking. I told her live on the show that I was suspicious of the Me Too movement and the way it infiltrated and destroyed accusations of merit. I believe Me Too oversaturated the culture of false accusations, or with false accusations. I believe some horrific people were taken down by Me Too, and that's a positive, but there was an insidious fallout where any whiff of accusation without any due diligence could destroy a person. It was absurd to see the court of public opinion be swayed so easily by just a few accusations with zero proof. I 100% believe that statement. I will say Shane Cashman and I very well fucking believe the same statement right there. I believe in that paragraph. Before she and I met in person, our first official interaction happened in a group chat between Kanye, I hate saying that, between Kanye West, Eliza, and myself. I had just left Kanye's place in LA. He and I had spent the weekend discussing, amongst every other things, the shape of the campaign for the president of the United States. One topic that he kept coming back to was human trafficking. Eliza's name popped into my head when I was in the airport, so I asked for permission to send her contact to Kanye. She obliged, and then Kanye started a group chat. Oh man, so a group chat with her, Kanye. No wonder she tried to use Kanye's clout there. That makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? So look at her connections. You want to see another thing that might not be discussed there? Remember when she was doing damage control, she brought up, she brought, oh, that's a bad joke. I thought of. I'll say it anyway. She brought up Elon Musk. She brought up, she brought up Kanye West, and she brought up Jesus. Now, I don't, and Shane Cashman. Now, I'm pretty sure Jesus probably wasn't in the shared room there. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if that would be an appropriate room there, but everybody else, they have a connection to in some way. It was the way that Eliza responded to that text initial from Kanye West that gave me a pause to go full tilt into accusing her of operating solely out of fame. I still didn't know her personally at all, nor did I expect the recent accusations, but I felt it was worth sharing this despite it being a private interaction. Yay. Eliza got your phone number from Shane. Let's stop all pornography and sex trafficking, starting with Twitter. Eliza, the actual freedom of all people is the most important fight. No public stunt, by the way, and I'm not going to ask for funding or anything. Right there, that fucking puts me at pause every time when I see comments from her. I agree with that because every freaking time she talks about it, money comes into play. I have never thought it like I go on Yellow Flash's channel, right? We goof off and go on stream. I don't get paid for Flashcast. That's not normal. I go under Arcada, of course. I wouldn't even think about that. I mean, again, maybe a large show or something. Maybe they pay guests. I don't know, but maybe I'm just down here with all the, with all the plebs, baby. I don't know. It's so crazy, though. I mean, I'm not going to ask for money or funding. I did everything on my own with an old ass iPhone and God. Yeah. She's also back to that. Remember, I'm sure you've seen the clips by now where she shakes down Hotep Jesus for super chats. I'm doing a video on that shit because it's amazing, by the way. I've got it set in queue. Once they put it up, that one's going up. But yeah. I mean, I don't have internet. I don't have good technology. Well, she still has an old ass iPhone and she was shaking people down for money. Interesting. So you can see that quote. This, by the way, is why you don't text with fucking people like Shane Cashman, by the way, because your privates messages, your privates, that sounds terrible. Your private messages are going to go public. I was going to say your privates are going to go public. I was like, wait, no. Well, I've seen some of those videos. They already went public. No way, that's a bad joke. Anyway, it was discussed on Timcast IRL that I would write a profile on her. I agreed to it. She shared it publicly, and now those that rejected her story are using this post as retroactive. Not be taken seriously as a journalist, and I understand the concern. You should understand the concern. I mean, fuck, dude. You kept your freaking mouth shut. You put a hand over your mouth, and all your colleagues did too. I mean, you should understand why people would be concerned about that. Twitter users started reposting tweets of me saying nice things about Eliza from about a month prior to writing the article. The clip of me commending her work, telling her I'm a fan, which is no difference than what anyone on most podcasts had done. But I also had a lot of questions. However, I also tried to extend some grace and patience to those who've been attacked by a mob. You were attacked by the mob. This is a small collection of some of the criticisms that I received as I prepared for a pro. Oh my God. Come on, dude. Let's see. This is a litmus test for Shane Cashman. He is a knob-grabbing fluffer. The internet is watching. Shane is a clown. He's a fluffer boy. This will destroy his career. He has no integrity. He's cringe as fuck. He's got a hard on for any women who love bombs him because he's never experienced this amount of love. He shouldn't talk to grifters. All Twitter is watching. He's unprofessional. He's just a fiction writer. Fair enough. he's a knob gobbling fluffer. Come on, man. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, Lord. I have to say this. I seek to tell in-depth stories to the best of my ability. I have many of the same questions you might have and more, and I report at the pace that suits the answers I collect. I try not to peddle in knee-jerk reactions. I do not participate in the human centipede of tweet reporting. I'm not here to fulfill the need of the algorithm, says the dude attached to Timcast. Yeah, I guess you don't. You guys aren't part of the algorithm, right? That's why you vomit up like 4 billion freaking videos a day some days. Oh my God. We don't do the algorithm right, guys. Oh, I swear. Just tell us the story, dude. Anyway, I lost my place for a second there. It's like, my God. The human centipede of tweet reporting. I do not perform for trends, nor do I perform for the insatiable. I trust my readers will afford me the patience and grace I need to make sense of this story. The accusations are serious. A person's life story, which included traumatic accounts, has been called into question. Outside of that, the world of human trafficking is clearly a disturbing, horrific reality. I must tread with caution. No, you don't need to tread with caution, dude. Tread with cleats on, baby. Now, I feel the need to share another private conversation because it seems relevant to the reporting of this particular story. By the night that Eliza and I were both on IRL, I had also been in talks with Andrew Tate to write a profile on him. I had spoken with him directly in the days leading up to the arrest in Romania. For those that don't know, he's been accused of public trafficking. He's actually not been, there haven't been any charges filed. He's being investigated for. Just to make that clear. I know that's a differentiation people don't like to make, but that's true, you know. Hey, what's up, Jennifer? Thanks for the buck there and the smiley sunglasses. Thank you. Now, perhaps saying this to you now will kill the potential for the story, which I'd still like to write, but it's important for me to say that I would afford Tate the same amount of patience and grace to tell a story I would Eliza Bleu. I don't really know either of them, but I'd like to give them the space to define their lives for me, for their page, the best of their ability. After the thread about Eliza's life went viral, her timeline didn't make sense to me either. There seemed like major gaps in her story. I'm sure I wasn't alone in having this nightmarish thought experiment. On one hand, I would have preferred she was lying because of the bits of her story she had shared. I'd rather not want that to happen to anyone. On the other hand, if she was lying, I'd feel personally let down. I don't believe it should erase the advocacy I've seen her do on Twitter, on podcasts, but it would make it extremely challenging to take her seriously moving forward, even as I personally struggle with who does and doesn't deserve redemption. If she had profited off victims, it would be dirty. If she was exposed as merely a fame whore, I wouldn't be surprised. No real insult to Eliza, but the internet is filled with them. So another joining the ranks wouldn't be the slightest bit shocking. I think what I and most others probably found most egregious, aside from the supposed power she had within Twitter, is that there was a possibility Eliza could have propped up victims to gain fame and money. But again, the current economy deals in currency of victimhood. We're all numb to the grift. And now, as we're supposedly on the edge of nuclear annihilation, according to grim-faced scientists, I had Eliza on the phone who didn't seem nearly as anxious as I felt. I had questions. I got that. Yes, you have questions, right? And she promised I could ask anything. It seemed like I was flying to Illinois to interrogate somebody about either the darkest lies someone could tell or the darkest experiences someone could go through. My goal was to establish a timeline, in Eliza's words, cross-reference that with the timeline that was featured in the thread that went viral, plus all the other information that comes to light every few minutes on Twitter. Either Eliza built an elaborate story for profit. It's not very elaborate, by the way. Not at all. It's not very elaborate at all. I hate when people say that because it is not. Or she was telling the truth and the whole thing wrong. Neither seemed to be an easy answer. My distrust points in all directions. Either she was the Jussie Smollett of anti-establishment Twitter, or somehow all of anti-establishment Twitter had become the Jussie Smollett of victim blaming. I don't really like the prospects any way you cut it. Eliza picked me up in her father's car, and we drove to the world's largest truck stop, Iowa 80. That's where that picture came from, where they're mugging for the camera, by the way. So just to note that. And what's up, Salty Irish, by the way? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. I do like to catch, unlike certain streams, I do catch super chats, by the way. Or Dizzy, thanks for 10. Squirrel. Oh, wait, a shiny thing. It's a leaf. You crack me up struggling to stay on topic sometimes. I have a lot of trouble. Mimic, thanks for the 5. You're going to read this 9 million word article all week and to think it's only part 1. I know it's going to be fabulous, though. No matter how it comes out, yeah, it's very long. Look, this thing has only moved a little ways. Again, it'll be worth it, though. It'll be fun. No matter what. Like I said, you're going to see a bomb go off. And either this bomb is going to, it's going to explode many different ways. This is going to reignite the Eliza Bleu controversy in ways that we haven't seen yet. So she picks him up. She seems oddly positive. She wore a heavy black Tesla winter coat. Oh, wait, she's dressing in the Tesla wear? Do tell. Really, I thought. All the coats the woman could wear these days, she chose a Tesla coat. 7 degrees. And she said it was her one and only warm jacket. I later ask her to see her damn closet, dude. I mean, really. She doesn't have internet. She has an old iPhone. She doesn't, I mean, come on, dude. But at the same time, she's borrowing light from her barber. I mean, that tells you she has money to get her hair cut. So, what's up? Eddie, thanks for the 8 months. Proud Tugs Doug. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. All my Tesla gear was given to me by a friend. He worked at Tesla. We've known each other for 2 years before all this happened. My old winter coat was finished. I pulled out the Tesla coat this year because it's what I have. By the way, I have one of my favorite coats. I have 2 coats that cost me I think $125 together. They're long coats. I like to wear them. They look professional. And I have a couple of Goodwill coats. So for people to tell me they can't get coats, man, I got coats that cost $5 dude, too, in my closet. So what's up? She's looking at her phone, reading an email. The Babylon Bee had notified her that they canceled an event they had planned to do together. It's heartbreaking. I need my Christian brothers. I'm so pissed that they would cancel. She had a slightly darker tone in her voice than since she last spoke. Well, I guess I'm the guy that talks to people the rest of society rejects. In a sense, that's you right now on Twitter. Shit, she could have talked to anybody this whole time, by the way. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. Hey, what's up, Henry? Thanks for the 5 there. When a writer, journalist spends space defending himself within an article, that's an A1 amateur hour. We'll see how it goes, right? So there was mostly small talk on the way to get food. We discussed her childhood, her homeschool, how she and her family, including her young sister, moved from the Quad Cities to Denver and back. As we took our seats at the truck stop diner, I was alerted by colleagues via text that some people have announced her father's personal address, both home and office, and were claiming to be on the way to film the location. I was going to be staying at her parents' house for the duration of my visit. Did anybody see this happen, by the way? Did you see anybody dox her dad's personal address? I mean, the address. Now, here's the thing. Like, as a political figure, There's a lot of information out there about him that's just out in the public. So I saw the articles about who he was, but I don't even remember seeing any address information or anything. I did see pictures of land asking, "Hey, where's Humanity House? Is it here?" But I don't remember catching that. You know, I don't remember seeing that at all. You know, Heather Boo, thanks for the tune. So far, it's a whole lot of nothing. It hasn't even gone anywhere yet. It's all built. So, are you reading Twitter? I asked, referring to the barrage of comments about her life, all the images, everything. Everyone who had done anything with her was getting tagged and everything, too. Friends are telling me that my silence is making things worse. Right now, people don't want to hear anything from me. That's literally nobody. That's literally nothing I could say. What could I say? Nothing I do will appease everyone. I can't be too mean. I can't be too nice. So many people have made up their mind, have made their minds up. Our minds made up. Jesus, I can't read today. Maybe that's because people were getting banned for asking questions. Huh? I wonder. That's true, I said, wondering how the fuck I was going to navigate this story. I was hesitant to even ask her about all of this. I would either be exposing her total lie, or perhaps I would be making her relive some deeply troubling trauma. The waitress brought us our waters and our meals, and I said, I guess we better start with a question. I asked her how she defined human trafficking. So she said, force, fraud, or coercion to sell labor of sex. Anyone under the age of 18 engaging in any commercial sexual activity for goods or services or money is a victim of human trafficking, she rattled off. Under 18, she is automatically a victim of human trafficking if they're engaging in commercial sex. That's not a question, no gray area. So wait, anyone under is a human, well, people, adults get human trafficked too. What about traffic? Does I wish I would have had a follow-up question like, does Twitter trafficking, does that work into the definition too? So how did the trafficking start with you? I met him when I was 15. Where? A concert out there. Who was he? A photographer? Can you name him? I can't. Why? Legal reasons. We're going to come back to that, I said. I knew she wasn't going to name names. She said as much to me on Timcast IRL. And okay, so that's the same thing we've heard. And I insisted multiple times that naming names would be the best way to clear her own. It would allow me and other journalists to do more digging into her story. The lack of names, the lack of transparency doesn't help. She says it's legal reasons that for now is the best I can get out of her. She could prove, like, if there's legal reasons, if she has some kind of NDA, lawsuit, anything, she could at least showcase. She could cover the name and be like, yo, legal documentation. I mean, again, that's how I would do it. I'd be like, shit. It's just like I had mentioned I'd mentioned somebody calling CPS to our home, and people were like, "Oh, those are just," and I showed a business card, but I blurred out the name. I showed a template. With the paper that you're given. Somebody was like, "That's just off the line." So I showed two people the recording that I made when they were here, because I have an audio recording of the whole incident. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would show proof to not everybody, because you're not the point. You're not going to hurt yourself there, but you could show some kind of proof that this existed, at least who they were. So why did you leave LA? Once I had my permit, I was out of there, which is funny because all I want to do now is stay here. Was this a relationship with an older guy? He groomed me. Grooming how? Finding out my vulnerabilities, what would make me leave my family and come to LA. He knew exactly what to say. I was probably the easiest mark he ever had. Why was he talking sexually with you as well? Was he talking sexually? No. Was all about the dream world, the opportunities, which were promises of modeling, rock star stuff. How old were you? 15 when I met, 17 when I moved to LA. He knows your age at that point. Like from the beginning? Yes, it says. Hey, what's up, Grifty, by the way? Appreciate you, bud. Thanks for the 5. Wow, double down. Just a woman who regrets life choices. We'll see where it goes, man. So he knew your age? Yes. How did you pull that shit? I would never let that happen. I said, thinking of my children. Where were your parents? Under some kind of a spell from this person? It sounded like they had no reason to believe this wasn't going to be a legit opportunity for their daughter. Her mom would later tell me at the time Eliza would be turning 18 soon as well. There was no stopping her. So how did she get to LA? My dad moved me out there. She could probably tell, but I was watching her body language. Oh, so you're a fucking body language expert now, Shane? Is that what it is? Why don't you sit down? Why'd you put me in a room with her? I tell you 5 minutes if she's fucking lying. I tell you 5 fucking minutes. I can tell you if she's lying. You know why? Because I've sat across the table from hundreds of other people that have actually been victims of some of the most horrific shit ever. You can see it, man. It's tattooed on people. It's tattooed on the involuntary stuff that people do. And eye movements that would seem like she's conjuring up a fiction. I had made a plan to ask her the same questions repeatedly over the next few days to see if any of her details didn't match, not only from what she told me, but from what she'd said on other platforms. So she moved to LA when she's 17. Parents set up an apartment. Within 2 days, she said she was trafficked. Within 2 days, she has her trafficking on. So hey, what's up, Grifty? Thanks for 2. Legal reasons equal statutes limit not passed. That's very true, especially with new rules, new laws. Actually, keep a lot of that in going too. SSJ for Broly, thanks for that gifted membership, by the way. Hope somebody enjoys that. Thank you too. Aaron, thanks for the 5. This sounds like a bio from like Harry's. Too much info that is proven false. Spare me. Well, there's been nothing so far. This is the way. If people want to set up a fake story, what you do is you obviously know the reality. You know that you moved somewhere. You know you did this, that. So that stuff, of course, is going to be just loud and proud through the whole thing. The other portions, though, that's what people want. They want the underbelly of it. So that's where we need to go with this. So she says, her parents set her up. This is where I guess I get some of the story messed up. Is there a switch in the guy at this moment? A photographer introduces me to a musician. I ask for names again. She refuses. We get into the specific discussion later, but I want to establish her side of what happened in LA first. So, are the photographer and musician together? Like physically? I mean, like, are they a team? Do you think I know that? She said with some hostility. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. How soon after moving to LA is this happening? Immediately, within a few days, like 48 hours. She said she recognized the musician the moment she met him. I suppose I made a surprise face. This is West Hollywood you're talking about. She said, I wonder if this musician, that. Yeah, you put a name to that musician. Yeah, that might cause some problems too. So I'd just been to Hollywood, and it seemed like the kind of city where dreams and nightmares coexist so tightly, it's kind of hard to distinguish one from the other. I went over to the musician's place. I don't remember if he came and picked me up, but I'm sure he probably did. We went over there, hanging out, had some beer. That's when everything went downhill. He handed me something to smoke, and I smoked it. I think they called it Icerglass. I think it was something like crystal meth. Well, if you smoke crystal meth, by the way. You definitely know that you smoke crystal meth. Let me say for sure. Mystified. Thanks for the 10. Legal reasons equal. She doesn't want to get sued for defamation. Like her savior, Anna. Yeah, that's true. The person that she getting sued by your own family for $40K. Whew. Do you remember what you're thinking in that moment? My dreams were coming true. Did you feel any sense of dread being away from your family, being with these people? I was in a dream world. Up until that point, I didn't even know that evil was a thing that happened. You didn't learn about evil from church, I asked. I understood that her father went to seminary school in Denver and that religion was important to the family. I did not understand what evil was until LA. God, that's a terrible picture. Way too much. Was this your first relationship? No. Was he violent? He wasn't violent, but I'm kind of grateful that I was drinking and on drugs. At the time, I was really thin because of modeling, so I didn't have any meat on my bones. A little alcohol really messed me up. And one day, he basically told me, I'm going to sell you for drugs. I was in the room when he brokered the deal. He called the guy. I didn't know. I don't know If this was all planned out in advance or whatever, I don't know. I'm assuming this is a thing that they did. So we're getting to the getting trafficked really fast, although we don't have a timeline to how fast that's, that event supposedly transpired. Israel, thanks for the super chat. This piece belongs to Wattpad fanfic. I remember that other fanfic. We read that one. That was pretty descriptive. 200 watt. Thanks for the 5. Welcome to Hollywood, sweetheart. Business promises and lies of the currency of Los Angeles. Lived there for years. Well, I mean, yes, Los Angeles does have a nasty underbelly too. A nasty one. That is not at question. Again, it it very well does. There are users there. They're here, man. I mean, Tennessee, again, the missing kid capital of the United States. So yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. Ghost, thanks for the 10. Tugs tits over blue dirty waffle. Gross. I did like when Tugs tits trended. That was funny though. So let me see. Planned out. And you considered this a relationship. I probably would have thought that, but I wasn't used to having male relationships, not like that. Did sex with him come into place before all of this? It was clear there was no choice. The thing is, like, I hadn't come from that. There was no part of my lifestyle. When he called the buyer, were you thinking anything like, what the fuck is this phone call? No. I was just told we needed more drugs. We're going to sell you. Holy shit, I'm a child prostitute. I was embarrassed. I knew immediately I would never tell anyone about this. The musician dropped her off at a house in the Hollywood Hills. See, there's no timeline established for any of this. Like, what is the timeline to this? Like, how fast is this supposed to be happening? We have the photographer to musician. We have drugs introduced. They need to re-up for drugs. So, you're selling, you're being sold into something. I mean, again, and then you're getting traded off to someone. Like I said, I'm trying to understand the timeline. Are you telling me you're an addict during the time? Addiction makes people do some fucked up things. So, musician dropped her off in the West Hollywood Hills. Can you describe this man, the buyer? Old, fat, ugly guy. I could probably recreate pieces of his room. It's weird what your brain remembers. His bed was red, but not blood red. It had a red blanket. It was really nice, and there were multiple people who lived there. Were they there for you two? Not for me. They came and went. Lots of drugs and alcohol. Hey, I'll put this out there. Let me say this right now. Eliza Bleu, if you have if you're afraid of legal recourse, I'll tell you what. You point out actual victimizers with legitimate proof, and we'll go fund you a fucking lawsuit. You have so much platform right now. There would be ungodly amounts of money that came in. Now, of course, you can't have the money. It would go to lawyering fees. You can't control it. There would have to be somebody put in to associate that, so you don't walk away with millions of dollars. But yeah, you bring in, of course, there'd have to be something that proved that. Let these investigators run into it. Give a name, man. I dedicate a month to fucking uncovering that whole person. I myself will hire some PIs. I know a few of them myself. I know some that are very effective. And yeah, I mean, you could prove a story decently quickly if you had the names of photographer, musician, and other folks. But unfortunately, the Hollywood Hills home, where is it? What home is it? All of these details that you could work in there too. All right, thanks for the 5. The legal reason she can't name anyone is being sued. Exactly. If you accuse someone of a crime like that with no evidence, that's malicious in of itself. That's why I say with proof, with proof. I will not fund a fucking false allegation lawsuit, but damn it, you show me undeniable fucking proof that somebody's a monster out there, and I will help you burn them to the ground. I'm all for that. I'm all right with it. So, Hollywood Hills, right? Home. Were they there for you too? Not for me. They came and went. Lots of drugs and alcohol. How long were you there? I can't say. Maybe days, a week. Were you on drugs? Yes, thank God. It was not a pleasant experience. It was scary. I don't know what particularly happened, but I think I started to kick a little bit. I think I became a problem. I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking, and I believe I had an overdose. You know if you overdose, by the way. You fucking know it. You know, getting way too high. Like I said, I have a very very heavy substance abuse past. Yeah, I know a lot about drugs, a lot about them. A lot about pharmaceutical grade fucking fentanyl, everything. Not this shit they use now, but I mean, yeah, I've been there. I know what feeling like an overdose is. You know, if you overdose, you know it. It also, if you're on crystal meth, not eating and drinking, yeah, that's part of it, you know. But I think I started kicking. Does that mean I started kicking people or I started kicking drugs? You know, um, I think it saved my life. This happens sometimes with victims. I was left for dead, but I survived. I thought it was my fault. I woke up in Cedars-Sinai. No friends out there. The nurse told me she treated Kurt Cobain once. There would be a record of this, by the way, and that he and I had the same odds. He died a few years earlier. That moment would eventually keep me sober. Maybe she was just gassing me up to feel better, but he gave me confidence. How did you get back home? My parents bought a plane ticket. Somehow they knew. She doesn't know anything else about it. Now, there would be a record of this actually transpiring too, you know, just to say that would definitely, there'd be a record of Cedars-Sinai. So, and again, that doesn't mean that you weren't just using drugs, but there would be something there. 200 Watt Studio, thanks for 2. Red blanket equals a dog whistle for Hollywood predators. Is that, I'd see. I always think with certain details. I remember, you know, staring at the carpet from the last case that we saw there. So when my dad dropped me off in LA, I think I had blonde hair, and when I arrived back, I had jet black hair. Everything I brought home was in a trash bag. My parents didn't recognize me. The people that really hate you are demanding these details. There's no fucking detail in this. I said as a way to say, I'm sorry for asking, but I don't know how else to cover it. One must work with primary sources first and then spool what you can from there. You can't reverse engineer it. It's like gore porn, Eliza said, referring to the gruesome details that many are saying they need to hear from her to believe any trafficking took place. They're hitting me up, wanting to know if my vagina is ripped. A part of me hopes you are lying because I want none of this to be true. She went back to recalling what she could of the overdose. Everybody's got stuff that's happened to them. I was lying in bed last night thinking about all of this. I was just so grateful that I'm still alive. So like it is bad, but like, bro, think about how much life I've lived since then. I'm so grateful that despite all of this, I did so much dope shit. I think she felt like she had to say something positive because my face was probably grim as the scientists standing with their doomsday clock. So, do you remember anything leading up to or after the overdose? I guess it started at the buyer's house. They dropped me off. They dropped me in the musician's hallway. I'm surprised they even called anyone. They were probably like, we aren't going to deal with a dead girl. A lot of people who've been looking into your past are asking themselves, how could that happen to the daughter of a politician? It looks like she's from a nice family. That's one of the most disgusting insults. You can be a survivor. So this right here, that allows for deflection. Again, it's not how could that survive? It's like, what the fuck? You know, you made it sound like in other stuff that your dad dropped you off and allowed you to be molested when you were 16. That's how the that's how the accounts read. Well, he dropped me off at a music festival, you know, when I was, like I said, my mind keeps going back to 16. I didn't get right in front of me, but that's the way that it was presented. So that's what people were like. They weren't like, hey, how could this happen to a politician's daughter? You know, because I'm sure most people have seen the movie, what was it, Traffic? You know, where someone gets hooked on drugs and they end up in fucked up life. So I think everybody knows this happens. Life according to Martin. Thanks for the $1.79. Hey, Tug, watching almost an hour behind. Big love. Hey, appreciate it. I'll leave it up too. So if you miss, I don't want to read this by myself because it's I can't stand some of these. If this is a fluff piece and it pisses me off, I don't want to read it twice. I want to know where the pieces are. If I want to clip something out of it for a video or something, but I don't want to fucking read this thing again. So it's the most disgusting insult. You can be a survivor and be other things. You can have a family. A lot of survivors I know are married, have kids. It's not like you're a survivor and that's all you are. I could be fully into trauma, probably on disability, just rotting away, still off the LA experience. That's why I'm like, at this point, I don't care what people say. Listen to what I survived. That's crazy. She mentioned how anyone from any status with any type of family life can fall victim to trafficking. Later, she tells me she thinks the buyer dyed her hair black to make her look like a boy. I think that's what they were into. Why didn't they get a boy then? She said. They're, against Hollywood, the land of broken dreams. She said that she believes they were transgender kids in the house as well in the Hollywood Hills. Is that the transgender trafficking story? Is that where it's coming from? They were a transgender because she believed that? So you were sold. Were you sold multiple times? My first trafficking experience was short, just that one time. What was it like when you got home? I forgot how to write. I had to learn how to write again. English was another language. I was so fucked up that I didn't know how to order food at a restaurant. I was so fucked up that I stayed sober for 8.5 years just because I was terrified. I was so fucked up that I never told anyone and promised myself that I'd never tell anyone because I was so traumatized. I was so fucked up that I've been trying to remember how I got to the airport. I don't know if the trafficker drove me, if a police officer drove me or drove my own car. I can't believe I'm alive after that. The drug overdose didn't kill me. The traffickers didn't kill me. The sex abuse didn't kill me. They also, that was also the time when HIV was making rounds pretty heavily during that time. It would have been a big concern. The fact that I survived that, didn't come out with HIV, I couldn't believe it. And after you flew home, you were sort of comatose. I had no strength, not physical strength, no mental strength. Hearing this story made me sick. I stopped eating. This was all her account. She could be totally lying. It could be true. Either way, the story made me feel sick. If it's a lie, I'm sick that someone would go this far to tell such a warped lie. And I'm sick that if it's true, I'm asking her to relive some dark trauma. Yeah, there's no new, it's the same story there. No, thanks for the two. How did her parents get a plane ticket to her? That's a good question too, actually. True to It Connections, thanks for the 5. Tough read, great job, Tug. It's very wordy. It hasn't gone anywhere, hasn't gone anywhere so far. Yeah, I mean, I hate, like I said, I've seen people live these lives, not lies, lives. I've seen it for real. I mean, I've worked with people, and it's important for me to hear your side of the story. I said, I know you've come on some podcasts, but I need to hear it in person, not a studio, not with cameras on, no lights and makeup. When I'm talking to other survivors, we laugh a lot, we joke, not about the abuse, we have dark humor. Not all the time, but like among survivors, we weave in and out of intense conversations all the time. It reminded me of my old friends, friends and family in AA whose sobriety anniversaries I've attended, and the way speakers can go from being stunned by their own depravity to laughing at their own depravity. So you came back to the Quad Cities after LA. I detoxed here. I was a mess. I honestly don't remember going to the airport. I did not know. Her parents picked her up from the same airport Eliza picked me up from. She said she spent more than a week in bed as her mom tended to her. She said she wasn't talking or hardly eating. Did you stay with her a while after that? When I got better, I just wanted to go back to LA. When I got better, I wanted to go back. That's fascinating little addition there. Truth wins. Thanks for dude. Cobain died in 94. She was born in 81. She'd be 13, 94. Yeah, it's there's just so many oddities here. She's saying that nurse, maybe it's just there's a lot of stuff here. You know, again, we have a rehab tale with this worked in. Again, the bones of that, you may be able to prove that the rehab's there, but you can never fact check any of this specific story. Like she said, didn't tell anybody, none of that. So there's no way to fact check it beyond that. There's nothing there. And her own story so far has been inconsistent with this stuff. So again, I'm thinking as a father here, it's hard for me to understand how I wouldn't do whatever I could to prevent my daughter from going back to a place that appeared to destroy her. I'd arranged to speak with her parents tomorrow and thought I'd ask how they dealt with that. Whether or not you read her or believing Eliza, perhaps she put herself in a very bad situation. Perhaps you don't believe she was trafficked and sold for sex and drugs. But even if the overdose is the only thing that's real, her parents then would have seen a destroyed version of their young daughter. And I have a hard time putting myself in their shoes without putting up a fight to prevent her from returning to LA. But my kids are still young. And I know I put my parents through hell when I was 17, 18, or 19. Nothing could have stopped me then, too, despite all the nightmares awaiting waiting for me with open arms. I share my concern about her and why she would return to LA. I'm sitting here like this is like literally so textbook, she said. What you're witnessing is full textbook abuse. After the first trafficking, I came home, and when I went to LA, I called him. He would not talk to me. The musician, yes, he wouldn't talk to me. He just told me to go to AA. Why would you go back to him? I don't know. That's crazy. I didn't want to miss the opportunity. What was the opportunity? Being a rock star. That's why I came out here. I wanted to be a model. So you won't name names. Can you say it's a famous person? There are people involved in my story that are very high profile. Maybe they aren't a household name, but I think if and when it all comes out, people will be like, oh, wow. If and when. So if it ever comes out, then people will be like, yo, what's up, Jedi Shredder? Thanks for the 20. Very simply, a word salad if I ever heard one. Gobbledygook. I don't remember. I can't for legal reasons, more like selective memory and legal implications means she would likely be implicating herself. She'd end up getting fucking sued. I mean, that would be, with stuff like this, she'd end up getting sued. Give me a minute. This freaking old chair, man. I'm waiting for it to fall apart. Oh my God. It sounds like a nightmare. I don't know if you can hear it. It's like, rah, rah. I looked at one, but I didn't like it. I was going to get a new one. But anyway, so give me 1 minute. So you go back to him and see him after the phone call. I asked. I didn't see him physically. I just called him. Did you go to AA? I went to AA in Chinatown. I believe it was on a Monday. The meeting itself was called Chinatown. It was in West Hollywood. And what were you thinking about yourself at the time? I thought I'd been a child prostitute. Is that what you considered yourself? What? Wasn't she turning 18 when she was there? I'm confused about her timeline. So her parents said she was almost 18. She moved out. She had some issues. She got with this musician. I don't know. I don't even understand this timeline. When I think a child prostitute, I don't think 18-year-old. I think child, Until I was 30. I didn't even know about trafficking. That wasn't in my language at all. My first advocate is the one who told me she believed I'd been trafficked once I told her my story. I had no language. I thought I was the one that was committing crimes. And she says committing crimes, plural. I believe she was referencing her second trafficking experience, which we'll discuss in a later part in the series. So we're not going to get that today, huh? At the time, I thought, oh, I'm an addict. I wasn't thinking about trafficking. I was thinking I just have a drug and alcohol problem. I remember I tried to tell my first AA sponsor what happened with the guys in LA. It was still on my spirit. It was still my heart. I was very young. Did the man in LA who sold you get into trouble? I don't know. I haven't looked. I almost thought about looking right before you came here, but I can't. What keeps you from looking? Why go back? When you find some sign of solace knowing he was in prison, or I don't think he's alive, but you could be out there preventing others from getting hurt if he's still alive. She took a breath before responding. I understand, I do, and I think about that myself. There were multiple times I tried, and it would never work well for me, she said, referring to the second man who she says abused and trafficked her. Yes, if there's a network there and you take down networks, why wouldn't you take down the network that's trying to destroy you? Seriously, like, you know the horror that would put somebody through. Wouldn't you want to dismantle that? I mean, you know, they're an active there. It's not your abuser, it's your trafficker, you know. Or you could tell somebody else, like just tell somebody else the name and let them dismantle. Again, if you tell somebody the names of some of these people, you could have very efficiently taken them apart without ever having to fucking look them up or anything. All you'd have to do is utter 2 words. That'd be their name. Look at this point. There's number one, there are laws that aren't going to work in my favor. The LA stuff is way in the past. Sometimes there are provisions where if it goes past 10 years, but like generally speaking, it's all that he said, she said. Simply accusing someone with no evidence. There you go, right there. She's using the, well, I'm going to get in trouble. And when I say no evidence, I mean like no evidence. Like I have no evidence for the first story. So it would literally be most he said, she said. Nobody's going to be like, yo, you know what? Yep, she's right. You know, when people read this that don't trust you, they'll say you're making shit up. Most of this is going to run off faith in me as a writer, but on you too. I could lie to you right now and say he's so-and-so. I could lie to you right now and say he's dead. I could lie to you right now and say he's in jail. It would be more advantageous for me to lie. It would have sounded better if I lied, but if I told you the truth, I'm telling you the truth. I know what the haters are going to say, but I'm telling you the truth. I hate it when fucking people call you a hater because you want to know the truth behind a subject. You know? Oh, you're a hater. No, I'm not a fucking blind believer. That's the thing. You know? Anybody in those spaces should understand why this is a problem and a big one here. What's up, Renee? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think people not hearing a name means that you must be keeping things vague to keep the story straight. The problem is sometimes when you let things fester, you start drinking, doing drugs, getting in abusive relationships. Is that why you won't be as fully open with your story? Wait, I don't understand that. The problem is when you let things fester, if they're festering, isn't letting it go like tying up loose ends? I mean, it wouldn't festering just let it sit? There's okay, so she said something about being afraid that the drug cartels or whatever were going to come after her and stuff. You know, they're going to seek revenge. Why wouldn't these people seek revenge? There are a multitude of reasons. When I stepped forward publicly, I'd already been an advocate for a while privately. I wasn't intentionally like, oh, I'm going to work in the shadows. It was like there's a million trillion different ways to be an advocate. I don't want to be I don't want to be a public advocate. And I don't want to be a public survivor. I ain't coming back. Why? Why? I don't want to be a public servant. Look at my current life. This is why I didn't want to be a public survivor. Believe it or not, I didn't want to be a public survivor. I actually don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. This person has done, their choice was to bring this stuff forward. I mean, that's what they built themselves off of. When I look, I don't hear advocate before I hear survivor. They come forward pretty much simultaneously in stuff that I'm hearing. So unless I'm missing a cue, I didn't see that. Natasha, thanks for 5, aka she's afraid to be sued for defamation, much like a certain Aquaman starlet. Let's see. Her first appearance publicly as a survivor of human trafficking, as an advocate for survivors, was in an article by the Daily Wire by Amanda. I'm not even going to try that name. Amanda P, I'm going to say. She said she reached out to the Daily Wire at the beginning of the beer bug lockdown. She wanted to see if they could cover the ways lockdowns would affect human trafficking. The lockdown, she predicted, would increase risk of vulnerabilities. I didn't reach out to them to cover me. I didn't want to be public about my story or advocacy. Eliza claimed that she did not want her name, face included in the article, but according to her, that person had fought to include these details. She believed it would give the article more reach. No, it would actually give it more legitimacy too. I understand, like, anytime that I quote somebody that's anonymous, anonymous sources, I do encourage them to allow me to say who they are. But a lot of people won't do that. So I get the anonymity thing, but I also get why a reporter would want to attach a name to something. I don't consider myself a reporter, by the way. I'm just saying, when I report something and I say sources say, I would love to add that source name. It adds a lot of legitimacy to what you're talking about, versus just making claims. Man, my chat is jacked up. Give me a second. I like to read the chat while I'm going through. Give me 1 minute. My chat jacked up. Una thinks of 3. How does her stalking My Chemical Romance singer band fit into rap videos or being on a dating show? We're not even going to get there today. We won't even get there today. You can see where we're going to end. It's not even going to get there. So she says they wanted it. The two went back and forth. This is also kind of ego ridden because it gives the article more reach, but she'd never been public. Why would that? I mean, does that not speak like ego? If there's a lot of ego that comes out there. The two went back and forth about this until Eliza finally agreed to allow them to use her name and image. She previously tweeted this about her decision to ask Eliza to use her name. Eliza came to me during the pandemic with serious worries about abuse and concern. Her concern was always with others. She had so much knowledge about how to address this vital issue, otherwise largely ignored. I asked her to include her name and photo because I thought it would bring more attention, and it did. I don't regret asking her. She's one of the fiercest fighter I know, and I'm told she's now being targeted personally, right as she's helping Elon fight child exploitation. Strange timing. Yeah. So I hope that's that's the Daily Wire spin, by the way. Are you telling me this is the Daily Wire sounding off on this fucking controversy? You mean another place that circled the wagons? Is that them sounding off? Because that kind of pisses me off a little bit, Oh, it's because they're fighting child. Essentially, if that's what that's trying to say, oh, she's doing this while fighting against predation? What are you saying? That fucking everyone's a child predator trying to fucking silence her? Is that what the Daily Wire is saying? Because that's how it reads to me. Let me read that again, because that's where we get to this. There, Eliza came to me. Somebody find a date on this tweet. You got the person that put that together. You have her damn name. It's Amanda, whatever. Amanda Typo. I mean, Presigiac, Como. I don't know how the hell to pronounce that, nor do I care. Give me a date on that, because this doesn't have a date. Like, I want a date on this, I knew it wouldn't have a date. I had my phone there, and when I flipped up, I couldn't see that there was no date on there because I went past that tweet. All right, thanks for the 10. Hey, I'm 10 minutes behind. My apologies on that. But there's a massive difference in letting your child get into trouble and taking them thousands of miles to live on their own. Well, again, in the original discussions of this stuff, it was dropping them off. I originally, I thought it ended. I had my chat, when I said my chat messed up, I reloaded and I had Google pulled up behind it, and it rolled past this part. Because like I said, I'm not reading it, but I thought it was actually ending here when I saw that. I was like, it's over. No, I guess not. I was like, damn, they got a lot of patter space, but some places put that many ads. So, and say, I thought it would bring more attention. I mean, told she's being targeted personally right now. Like I said, I'm curious when that went up, because I don't want to make that the Daily Wire sounding off on this subject. But the way that's written, That's what it sounds like. So I want clarification on that before I fucking blow my top about that. Because it pisses me off if it is. You know. Who else just came in? Oh, if you have, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, it said nothing. So if you're just coming in, we still haven't gotten anything really. Eliza and that person also direct messages to each other about the conversation. There are screenshots from that conversation. You don't even want to tell your story. You wanted to help others and get out as much information as possible. You didn't want to make it about you, and I thought your name and face would help bring more attention, so I included it. So again, they're trying to say she's not what's that term again? Oh shit! It's oh yeah, cloud goblin. They're trying to say she's not a cloud goblin. That's what that's all about. Oh, she didn't want to include that. I included myself. Now, as far as this, we can tell from the specific experience, Eliza didn't immediately jump on the idea of notoriety through advocacy, at least not in the very beginning of this. Because of the one interview, you're telling me that, oh no, she didn't want notoriety there. Okay. That proves. So all that's going to take is verification of a story. You're going to have this one thing where, oh, she might have not wanted her name included in one thing. So that proves she's not a fame seeker, or she's not using this as her particular venue. She uses every other venue that we've ever seen her included in the past. But this is somehow different. Okay, I got you. All right, thanks for the vibe. She's accusing her own parents of criminal negligence at past. That's actually a good point. That is actually a very good point. You know, I didn't think about it that way. So, even still, I ask her about her accusation that everything she's done is purely for fame. I've literally told everyone from day one that I wanted to be famous. So she tells you right here, I want to be famous, baby. My parents knew that when I was a little girl. She said she'd already seen levels of fame, I believe, referencing her doing hair and makeup with bands like My Chemical Romance and covers for Spin magazine, something we'll get into in a later conversation. That's old fame, though. That's old hat. That's not new hat. That's old hat, you know? That doesn't count as current fame. I want people to remember this. If you look through my history, I've never had trouble hanging out with famous people. When I became a survivor advocate, I had a fully popping Instagram like that was just sitting there once I got back control of it. Once I got control of it, what does that mean? What is that supposed to mean too? Like once I got control back to it, what does that mean? Ghost, thanks for the 10. Now, once have I heard her speak out about the trafficking crisis at the border, thousands being trafficked, worse by cartels. But she's talking about hookers and rap videos. Actually, I thought it was really telling when when I say this, I'm not throwing any shade whatsoever at the people that interviewed, but I thought it was telling with Hotep Jesus when she did that interview. I'm doing a video on it. It's setting. I'm waiting for approval on it, but during the middle of it, she shares the same skeletal remains of a story. Then she's like, well, I don't feel good telling my story. It's not for amusement, especially since you're not giving me super chats. And Hotep Jesus, you know, he's like, okay, well, I'll give 50% to Eliza Bleu to help out trafficking survivors and to get the story out. She's like, no. That the only survivor this is going to help out is me. Because I got bills, y'all. You know, basically, I need internet, you know, And then she starts talking more. So, yeah, it's not for personal profit or gains. I believe she's referencing her relationship to Gerard Way, talking about this, singer of My Chemical Romance, as well as how her Instagram was stolen from her years later, well after her relationship with Gerard Way. A lot of people are seeing you in various videos looking happy or calling your mom to tell her how proud she is of music videos. Are these things proof that you're only doing it for fame? What do you think people are missing about you? That's not what people are asking about that either. Come on, fucking Shane, dude. That's a softball. These are softball fucking questions. That's why you were let in, my friend. Dave, thanks for the 5. Eliza said what she called survival sex isn't trafficking if it is sex for drugs. Sounds like she was sold to get her own drugs. Yeah, as she said, well, you're not going to be able to verify, so you've got to believe me. And again, typically, this is a strange conversation here because typically I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't care, because if you just came up with a story that didn't point fingers at people directly, this is the problem with this stuff. This is a huge glaring problem. I don't know the fix for it. Right now, I can't tell. Most people will say, fuck it, don't believe him. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to be there. You know, I come from a background where you help people. And people like this, typically when you have a story where it would be, she said with no finger pointing at all, it wouldn't matter. The problem became when Brittany Venti was asking her, how does this stuff fit in to your advocacy now and to your story? Were you coerced into it? I don't understand. Tell me. Again, Brittany Venti has a specific mindset about pornography and about trafficking. Pornography is a zero tolerance mindset. I don't agree with a lot of her stances on that stuff. I respect her stances on it, but I don't agree with, I would say a lot of them, but certain ones I don't agree with. The all or nothing stance on certain things, but I understand what she's asking. And all she was asking for in that was some type of clarification. So she calls mom. Well, number one, I don't think people understand human trafficking, even though you can Google what it means. And then, also listen to a bunch of survivor stories and go to Human Trafficking Hotline or Polaris Project website. My entire Twitter feed for the last few years has been dedicated to educating people. And clearly, no one was reading any of it. That's actually been, so she's trying to make it, because I had a life before, I couldn't have been trafficked. And it's not, nobody said that. Nobody said that whatsoever. They wanted to know about timelines and they wanted to know about her stance. I mean, again, you would think somebody that's advocating for so many groups would actually be okay with making this stuff clear, You would think they would want that to be clear. So she continues, but the other piece that they don't understand is abuse or abusive positions. Quite frankly, you, Shane, could be my trafficker, or I could be your trafficker. We're at a truck stop and we could be going somewhere and looking like we're having a lovely conversation. And you and I could leave here in the car and no one would be the wiser. If somebody snapped a picture of us right now, be like, oh, look, they're friends in a relationship, normal. So anybody could be blamed as a trafficker too. That's a fucking frightening thought too. I wonder how many people were going to be blamed for human trafficking by this definition. I guess that's a good place to ask about the clip of you and Michael Malice. We've already seen the spin. That's why the spin came today. This is why the spin happened today. Now things make a lot more sense. This was the first thing she decided to deflect, and that's because she read this. She knew what was coming. That makes a lot of sense now. I was wondering why that was the first thing that she decided to deflect from. So, oh no, wait. I thought that was I forgot. Michael Malice. I was like, wait a minute. That's not the 13, 14, or 15-year-old. I was like, wait a minute. That's the wrong guy. That would have made sense though. I was like, wait a minute. That really makes it. No, she's talking about the catfishing. My bad. I was like, fuck. She's told so many stories, it's hard to remember all the people's names. And you know what? Like Michael Malice, the only reason I know his name, I don't keep up with political discussions or I don't care. I don't fucking one of the only people that I listen to in the political sphere, if you want to call that, would be someone like Ricada Law. And that's because he does cases and he talks about politics and stuff, but he does it through case discussion. I mean, if we're just talking about discussions of the political landscape and other stuff like a Timcast, I don't give a shit about that. It's not my wheelhouse. I've lived through enough political arguments to know it sucks, But anyway, it's okay. I was like, man, I still want to know, why was that then? Here is a question. Why do you think it's that damaging? I mean, it was a it was a damaging clip, the 13, 14, 15-year-old clip where she talks about, in her utopia. I mean, did she see it that it is damaging? Is that why she decided to deflect against it first? Because it was the first thing she decided to deflect against. 2012, thanks for the 2. Shane is a male Taylor Lorenz trash journalist. I mean, there's been nothing so far. Nothing so far. So she says about Michael Malice with the definition of trafficking as though it's just catfishing. She says, no, the case is very nuanced, and I should have never have brought it up on his program. But because in retrospect, that's beyond what the general population can comprehend as far as trafficking is concerned. But I can try my best to unpack it right now. My former abuser, the one she would meet later in life, had access to my Instagram. I did not always have access to it. He had lots of accounts created in my name. He made dating profiles, anything you could possibly think of, because his goal was to make money. Whatever he thought he could make money and hustle is where he was. So like literally in the beginning of that Malice interview, I gave an actual definition of what human trafficking is. I go over the whole thing, but the UN's definition, not just the U.S., the UN's definition includes illegal organ trafficking as well as human trafficking, and anyone under the age of 18 engaging in commercial sex and trafficking victim. I go over that in the beginning of the interview. I don't know why they're cherry picking that one part, because it's moronic. That's why. That I did a horrible job of explaining. But how else? But how could I explain the situation? You could have said it's trafficking. Well, it's my former trafficker doing this. Therefore, that's not what you said. You said it's people taking pictures and profiting off of me. And I didn't know about it. What about the lies? I mean, if Shane, I'm curious, is he going to ask her about the lies about in that interview? Hey, I didn't have a Twitter until 2019. Is she saying that that Eliza knows and Eliza Seep that she was actually telling people to go and to subscribe to? Is she saying that's fake too, or is that going to be a little nuanced piece we're going to leave out of here in our discussion to explain it away, right? But I don't know why they're cherry picking that. How could I explain the situation? Regardless, even old Twitter investigated it. Old Twitter investigated the account the user created and decided to take it down. It's because that imposter profile I got in my first meeting with a Twitter corporate that Jack Dorsey set up. So here's the connection to old Twitter Jack Dorsey. So she's been connected to Twitter for a long time. That's what I've been saying. She has connections there. We knew that she had meetings, but here's your confirmation for everybody to see in her own words, black and white. She has had connection to Twitter long time. So she's right there. Laura B, thanks for the 6. How can she not be ashamed with all that's happening on the internet and the media? Because that's the kind of people that we deal with most of the time. I mean, if you notice that, like a lot of these folks, that's exactly who they are. So I want to be very careful in what I say right now. Jack and I were acquainted. I never asked him for help because I was scared. I don't know. I was just like, what's going on here? I didn't ask for his help pulling it down. I went through the proper channels. Man, there's another video here I've got to do. Technically, it's the only way I could report it, an impersonation account. What else would I have reported it as? There was no explicit human trafficking. It wasn't like I said, I'm selling this girl. It was like just connected to my Instagram. I hadn't set it up, but I wanted to let them know that I have an abuser out there that set up this imposter account. I did not set up a profile. So you had an imposter account. Again, it's an account that was a catfishing account. She said her abuser made it so that Twitter would redirect to her Instagram, which he had now had control of. Now, to be clear, remember that this is what she says was taking place during the second time she was trafficked. Well, we don't have that story, Shane. So sometimes I still find dating profiles of me. I don't set those dating profiles up. So obviously there's something nefarious going on. So with Twitter, there's no way to report human trafficking. There still isn't. You can only report child sexual abuse and non-consensual nudity. You can't report straight up human trafficking. You can't report labor trafficking. That's been one of my suggestions for them, because people sell people for labor trafficking on Twitter and Facebook. There's a huge thing about that with Facebook in different languages, Arabic specifically, to the point where the Apple Store has threatened to pull them down because of it. So I get like why people won't understand that, but like that's kind of a lot of my problem. I'm just telling the story exactly how it was. There are people rejoicing now in how many Twitter followers you're losing. I could lose thousands of followers. I don't care. I don't believe that for a hard. I don't believe that either. I don't believe that that doesn't bother her in any way. I believe that she sees that, and I believe that bothers the hell out of her. I could have 5 followers on Twitter. I don't care. It's just Twitter. It could all go away tomorrow. I love Twitter a lot, but she looked at one of the cowboy hats on display in the our displays in the truck stop. You're also supposedly pregnant with Elon's kid. I haven't heard that anywhere. Have you heard that? Did you hear people talking about her being? I mean, I'm not talking about some random jackass saying, "Hey, well, hypothetically, she's having Elon's kid." I'm talking about this as some major conspiracy. Have you heard that? Because that's just, again, that shows you where the person writing this is coming from. I mean, that's straight up gaslighting. That's some bullshit. She tries on a cowboy hat as I ask her about Tesla and Elon's baby. I love Elon Musk, but we weren't friends previously. It's not that I wouldn't be. It's just that we really just met on Twitter Spaces. We've never met in person. He's busy, so there wasn't time to become friends, even if he desired a friendship. Same goes for Ella Irwin. I don't believe that at all. We met on Spaces, but we haven't met in person. I may believe that you haven't met in person, but I do not believe that you folks do not have a fucking relationship that goes beyond the casual discussion or talks in Twitter Spaces. I believe there's a lot more communication. I mean, she's talking about your litigation there. She's talking about upcoming criminal or legal cases. Or I'm sorry. So we drive past her house. It's past midnight. The porch lights reflect off field the snow. She pointed to the car that was in the snow. She said it was broken down. As she dropped me off at my parents' house, we got confirmation the address had been doxed. I thought this would be a crazy place in the middle of nowhere to show up and announce it hostile, but who knows? I'm honestly wouldn't be surprised if they came to the house while you're here. But the way the laws are, they can't loiter. A hint that her dad had his own way to keep the property secure. Yeah, is that his political connections or a firearm? Because I tell you, like I said, anybody loitered in my yard, I would deal with it. You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like the middle of Tennessee like that. You'd love it if you came out and like hung out. We have a beautiful, like pretty laid back culture. You love the barbecue and all that. Oh, it's so good. But you wouldn't like it if you came out here threatening. I had arranged to talk with her parents in the morning. I wanted to hear their side of everything Eliza told me that night. Eliza drove up that long, narrow country road back to her home, which she had told me her parents let her live in. I felt like I was standing on the moon. It seemed as though I was the furthest I could be from the United States, from the tech giants. Even still, Twitter was very much present in the vast and cold fields of nowhere, Illinois. It felt as though all the internet was an anvil or a satellite orbiting close above, monitoring my every move. Are you fucking writing a novel, Shane? Is that what it is? Do you get paid by the word? Does Tim pay you by the word or something? Because my God, I have never read so much nothing in my life. Like I said, this shit is going to be like a bomb, because when they decided to sound off about it, they didn't really sound off about anything with this. They said nothing. I mean, there's nothing in here. There are pieces that give me the idea that this will be a deflection piece, though. There are pieces in there that I'm like, yeah. Now, again, it's not what I expected as far as a hand-holding piece. I actually expected a full-blown puff piece, and that's what they were going to do originally. You know, he admits that. That was the original. That was the original idea. He admitted, look how much fucking article this is. Look what I saved you there. Look at this. I mean, look at that. We went through this much, and we only got the nowhere details of that first conversation. We got nothing out of it. I mean, that's nuts, isn't it? Like I said, this stuff will be like a bomb when it goes off. Because if they drop a bunch of nothing burger, it will burn Timcast. It will cause them problems. It will. Now, again, they're big enough that it's not going to burn their stage down. They survive doing nothing with Jack Murphy. They will survive Eliza Bleu, but it will wake up some people, and it'll get people to thinking, they won't touch this stuff. They won't do anything about it. Back go. Thanks for the buck there. What's up, man? Thank you. Appreciate that. No statement on there, but plenty of statement. Hey, back go. Do me a favor, too. Hit me up in my email, if you would. Tuggy's an author. It reads like he's writing a damn book. I mean, it reads like he's writing the book of Eliza Bleu, which there's nothing in here. Like, that's the problem. I get that they want multiple articles. I get it. But this didn't answer anything. It didn't add anything to the conversation. Well, it did. It added a couple of things from her own words, I would think, that probably she doesn't want added to that. But besides that, it's not helpful. So if that's going to be the second, again, if this is there, we finally sounded off. It's going to cause them some real issues, I mean, some very, very bad ones there. What a mess, though. Anyway, did any of you think that said anything? I mean, truly, did any of you actually get anything out of that? Yes, I'm checking my doorbell. If that's what you hear in the background, by the way. I'm making sure the last cleaning of it, my reloading doorbell, I'm making sure that it cleaned properly. I'm sure there's nothing in it. A headache. Somebody said it was an empty piece. It was a whole lot of nothing. Let me show you one other thing here too, like I say. And then the damage control started today. It very much started today. You notice he also didn't name people, like the people that set this stuff off. Oh, you want to know something funny too? So I am 99 followers off of 150,000. So if for some reason you haven't followed me on Twitter, just follow me. I don't care. I'll offend if you easily offend. I'll offend you later on, and you can leave. But help me hit that 150,000 mark, just because I want to laugh about it. I'll be like, laugh at people. But after that, you can get offended and leave. I'm at that umbrella. So, but I wanted to find something real quick and show it to you. I just think it's funny. I've been laughing about it. See, people like Eliza Bleu, though, they do care about Twitter, and you can tell. You can actually tell in their actions. Like myself, I don't really muzzle what I talk about. And, if I felt like saying something, like I was laughing about the satellite thing, I said, if with that, or I'm sorry, that spy balloon thing, I was saying, if we really wanted to take that thing down, we could have just told Elon Musk that it was full of world star hip hop videos. He would have crashed SpaceX into it. Yeah. But in the past, being hypercritical of Elon Musk, like somebody like, oh no, how dare you be hypercritical of Elon Musk? I just looked at a case where Elon Musk had gone out of his way. Oh, she's like, oh, I didn't read any of that advance, by the way. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. You notice the interactions too have gone down. See, her impressions are as high on her bullshit post as impressions that I get on typical stuff. But her interactions now have gone down. She gets negative interactions, but she doesn't get like likes and stuff on things. What's up? Free Connections, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Jerk Off Juggernaut. That's an awesome name. Thanks for the 10 there. It's funny that Tim allowed this to go through in parts because he was so upset over the Twitter files being in multiple parts. I'm doubting anything of substance will be coming from this writer. Well, she feels comfortable enough to share it, not even reading it. She's telling you, I didn't read it. I didn't know anything about it, but she feels comfortable sharing it. So that, I think that says plenty, you know. God, stupid slide, man. Things caught. I'm multitasking. Like I said, I'm working on my reloading doorbell. It's the slide on it keeps getting caught. So let me see. There was one thing I wanted to show you. Give me 1 second. I need to find it. She's been posting a lot. I think it's funny. So she actually, again, her first deflection started out. So I'm going to show you since she's come back. So, you know, again, you understand that, give me 1 minute, that this is her first deflection. I want to prove that, you know, I want to put it on record. Thanks for reading that Kamala Harris style novel, so I didn't have to. I'll look out for the reading of part 2. Yeah, I think like that's the way to do it. I'll make a live stream out of stuff like this. I do this with articles, you know. That's why I put them in videos too, because like if I go through a video, an article, you know, I save you. Hey, we can go through it, we can read it, and we can laugh at some of the portions, or you know, I'll look at what you think about certain parts, and I'll see what I think there's too, you know. So you can see where she locks her account down. This is where she was tweeting behind the stuff, doing deflection for Shane Cashman. So this, combined with the article, I get the feeling it'll either say nothing or it'll defend her. It's one or the other. I'm going to stand with that until I see other proof. You know, I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt. I've already done that. But anyway, you see her like bullshit posting over and over again until she gets to this. This is her first damage control attempt. And the first damage control attempt here is actually her trying to, you can see where she shares this. She's sharing the point. And I don't have any problem with Clint Russell. I don't even know who that is. You know, he wasn't the one defining the discussion for how it came together with Eliza Bleu, but that's what she's responding to. Okay, so this is her first deflection attempt. So she said, I went on the show to advocate for survivors in minor. Actually, let me pull up the fucking clip. Let me make sure that you know what I'm talking about. I don't want people not knowing what this is about because, you know, I don't like dumb shit controversy, but I think that this was actually, it's weird, especially considering she went after Yoel Roth, trying to bury him because of statements that he made in the past that sounded very much like him advocating for a relationship with minors. Now, for her to go after somebody, but to have this clip, I thought was telling. So listen to this. I will just put it on here. It's 55 seconds.
Certainly acknowledge that there are many people who are, 13, 14, 15 that have sex with an adult and then feel as if they were taken advantage of too.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
So let's focus on the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pretend like we all have our like utopia. So if I could answer this in utopia, right? In my like perfect ANCAP utopia, each community and each so it'd be each caregiver, parent, and community, including teachers, potential faith leaders, and neighbors, will decide if the child is ready to consent and look at the child's behavior. Do they have a job? How is their education going? Are they cognitively available to have sex with this individual? And then also look at the history of the individual as well. So does this individual have a history of abuse? And you go from there.
Certainly.
So I mean, again, it's very obvious what they're discussing there. They're discussing she uses the word child repeatedly. She also uses the word utopia. Now she's talking now her deflection, which she puts with this, we'll talk about. She's saying, I'm talking about hypothetical. No, you're talking about, you're talking about a hypothetical kind of, but you're not using the word hypothetical. You're using utopia. That's an imagined place or a state of where everything's perfect. So it's not a hypothetical place. You're talking about an imaginary or hypothetical perfect place. That's different. Either you don't fucking know what the use of words actually, you have no idea what you're fucking saying, which I guess that's possible. But yeah, no. Utopia, that again, that makes all the difference in the world, I believe. What's up, Romer? Thanks for the vibe. All right, you degenerates. Get tugged to 150K subs so you can shove a broomstick and yell so far gross that it'll touch his heart. It won't be crunchy. Gross. All right, so I went on the show to advocate for survivors and minors. You definitely advocated for something. I'll give you that. Not what you're trying to say, but you definitely advocated for something that came through very clearly. I was speaking in the clip about a hypothetical anarchist society with no government and no laws, and stated that clearly. I believe in current laws around these issues and abide by the current laws. Yeah, you said if there weren't current laws, though, that you would create your own current laws. And again, that's 13, 14, 15-year-olds being able to have sex with adults. That's what we were talking about. Again, that was the conversation. So, you believe in the laws and abide by the current ones. Well, okay, that's not the question there. That's not it at all. Now, these current conversations about possible solutions to human trafficking under anarchism are normal for me. I also talk about solutions under the current system in the U.S., multiple societies, depending on laws, government structure, even North Korea. This really got when I was like, what the? I forgive folks who don't understand the context of the clips, even those who call me horrible names. We have nothing else to discuss, so please don't message me privately. I forgive you, but we have nothing more to discuss. I've seen your heart towards me. You're the bad guy in this conversation, man. You're the bad guy. When a child advocate starts talking about having sex with kids, with adults, you're the bad guy. Crazy, huh? Josh, what's up? Thanks for the 5. If you look at any cult in the last 50 years that involve children, you're the same utopia from them. Yes, that is very true. That is very true. It's just, anyway, I may do a video around 5. I may drop it. I don't know yet. We'll see what YouTube actually does too. But I may do a video because there's something I want to cut out of there. Because she did confirm something that I think is very big in there that maybe she wasn't meaning to, but she actually did say one meaningful thing in that. But besides that, she said a whole lot of nothing. I think, like I said, they dropped a bomb because they told you they're not going to ignore the situation. They wanted to cover it a certain way. They actually wanted I believe, here's what I personally believe with Timcast. I believe that they wanted the quartering to come out and say all the stuff that everyone else was saying. They wanted that, and they didn't get it. They figured he would have been the easy person to basically come out there and to be the one to take all the stones, as it were. And when he didn't show, either that or they decided he was a good deflection point. But if they wanted him on the show, I very much believe they thought he would take the rocks and not her. Because he'd be on the show. Either that or again, he would have never covered it at all. If he would have had the quartering on, though, they wouldn't have been able to ignore it. But it's fascinating. No one really in that sphere of influence has come out to even talk about this situation. I mean, there's a lack of coverage, period, from people that, if it were the other side of a conversation, they would be very loud. And the other side of it is afraid to cover it very much because of the it's the perfect armor these days. I mean, Cashman showed you in that first thing. Well, can't disprove a narrative, therefore, we didn't discuss any kind of time frame. We didn't discuss any of the inconsistencies in the Michael Malice thing. Like, again, her having a Twitter, even though she said she hadn't opened up one. I mean, there's so many different problems. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna call it here. It's a good place to stop. It's going to be fun to watch the fallout. We'll be watching it. I'm sure they want to talk about this tomorrow. There is no way that this doesn't have fallout. And it's going to be fun to watch. And again, if you have not tried out the old Twitter, again, I'm like 20 freaking people short of, like I said, 150K, which I think is hilarious. That'll make so many people mad when it happens. I'm sure I'll lose 1,000 doing something else, but for right now, it'll be funny. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm out of here. I appreciate you folks. It was fun going over it. I'll see you later.